Tuscis Samnitibusque Junxerunt. Salvete, viatores, and welcome back to Let's Translate Eutropius Breviarium Historiae Romanae ab Orbe Condita. Last time we saw the brutal fight, the back and forth between the Romans and the Samnites during the Second and Third Samnite Wars. And this time, we see not only the Samnites come back, but the old foes of the Romans, the Gauls. It's very short-lived, but let's just get into it with Interiectis aliquot annis iterum se Gallorum copiae contra Romanos Tuscis Samnitibusque Junxerunt, sed cum Romam tenderent a Gnaeo Cornelio Dolabella consule deletae sunt. So, interiectis aliquot annis. This is an ablative absolute. Interiectis is a participle, annis is a noun. Annis is clearly like years. Interiectis is a little weird. It's like placed between. So I guess so ablative absolute, it's probably like after. Oh, aliquot also is like some, a few. It's like an indeterminate, not too many amount of something. So if we're going to say after some years, and if interiectis is like placed between, it's very awkward to have it be a real participle in this, at least in English. Maybe like in between, after some years in between, implying like in between from the end of the Third Samnite War and what is happening now. So after some years in between, iterum, again, that's an adverb, se Gallorum copiae contra Romanos Tuscis Samnitibusque Junxerunt. Junxerunt is our verb. Copiae is our subject here. Copia, you may recognize from like the word cornucopia, horn of plenty. But in the plural, copiae can be like troops or forces, like military things. So here, troops, Gallorum, of the Gauls, Junxerunt, joined Tuscis Samnitibusque. Those are in the ablative, so they joined with the Tuscans and the Samnites. Contra Romanos, against the Romans. And se, reflexive pronoun, if I recall correctly, and it's in the accusative. I think it could be accusative singular or plural. But either way, it has to be referring to the Romans, because there's nothing else in the accusative here. So, after some years in between, again, the forces of the Gauls joined with the Tuscans and the Samnites against the Romans themselves. Said, but cum Romam tenderent, subjunctive verb here with tenderent, imperfect subjunctive, in fact, you can tell by the ere in there. Like, if it's literally just the infinitive of the verb plus the ending, you've got an imperfect subjunctive, which means that cum is a conjunction and not a preposition. But when they marched or advanced Romam, like to Rome, or you might even be able to say against Rome, using a little bit of liberty there, but it works. Gnaeo Cornelio Dolabella consule deletae sunt. Preposition starting with a, and it goes to consule, Because all this, well, one, clearly a whole name, and then consule is also in the ablative. By Gnaeus Cornelius Dolabella, the consul, deletaisunt, they were destroyed. So for the entire sentence, which has taken me, 5 minutes? 5 minutes to translate. After some years in between, again, the forces of the Gauls joined with the Tuscans and the Samnites against the Romans themselves. But when they were marching to Rome, it's a imperfect, so were marching, an incomplete action in the past. Better English word order, they were destroyed by the consul Gnaeus Cornelius Dolabella. So there we go. Very short chapter, but I don't really have anything I really want to go that deep into here. And I really just want to continue on with more things, especially with the next chapter, which, yeah, I'll give a brief hint at in the outro. But for now, we're going to go to a full Latin reading and a full English reading. Interjectis aliquot annis, iterum, se gallorum copiae contra Romanos, Tuscis Samnitibusque junxerunt. Sed, cum Romam tenderent, a Gnaeo Cornelio Dolabella consule deletaisunt. After some years in between, again, the forces of the Gauls joined with the Tuscans and the Samnites against the Romans themselves. But when they were marching towards Rome, they were destroyed by the consul Gnaeus Cornelius Dolabella. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. And if you have any changes or corrections to my translation, feel free to leave it in the comments. Also, let me know if you prefer these shorter videos. I might do some shorter works in the future. I know I've just been doing Eutropius, but I want to do some other things at some point. But next time, we see the closest thing the Romans got to fighting Alexander the Great. One of the 2 times they got really close to fighting Alexander the Great. But we see the invasion of Italy by Pyrrhus of Epirus, the Molossian king. Valete, viatores.